I'll be nice to you if you be nice to me. That's all you want to go by Lewis. Okay. How are you?
Liz.
How are you?
I'm fine. Good evening.
Yeah, you coming into a place. What do you have for me, Lewis?
Well, I have a question and then I wanted to make a statement. My question is, why are you shaming women who
Lewis, what you're not going to do is what you just attempted to do. I said it a bit first and I'll say it again. I'll be nice to you if you're nice to me. But if all you can use is shaming language and these kind of things, I'll bid you a good night. You either have a conversation like a reasonable adult or you go elsewhere. Now, you can unmute yourself and attempt to do this one more again. I do not accept you coming in here saying, shaming this. No, ma'am. Nope. No, ma'am. So what you're going to do is you're going to be respectful of look, man, I'm having to raise my voice. I have pleasant conversations with everybody else. And because you may be in your feelings a little upset, I'm not shaming anything. There are 5,000 people who watched it. So what is your issue? Well, thank you.
It makes me feel like that it's making women feel shameful that they had kids by a man and that wasn't their plan for life. Like that's not their life.
Excuse me. So see, hold on. This is how old are you?
I'm 30.
No child gets born that a woman did not want to bring to this world.
Mm-hmm.
So to say that I'm making them feel shameful for a choice they made, no. You choose to be a parent that has consequences.
I don't think choosing to be a parent is a negative thing. And
I never said it was a negative thing. I just said it has consequences.
I think with everything in life has consequences.
But choosing to be a parent, okay. But see, what you came on here trying to do is you telling women that having a child that they didn't plan or the life didn't work, it's shameful. Man, life is a
No, you didn't let me finish.
Well, because first, you're not going to talk over me. When you come in here telling me that it's shameful what I'm doing, you can say what you have to say. You have 20 seconds, but be respectful.
I'm not saying that what you're saying is shameful. I'm saying it will make a woman feel shameful. That you're saying that because they have a kid, there's no future in that for them. They can't find it. They're not going to be able to be married or get a husband or anything.
Oh, that's not what I said. But let me make it real clear. We do need to bring shame back because ladies. Well, because here's the thing. I talk about a certain caliber of man, and these men don't want children from another man. Ma'am, do you not think? Okay, do you have any?
All right, everybody, how you doing? Before we actually get started on the show, I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about Kevin Samuels. For those of you who don't know who he is. Kevin Samuels is a verified image consultant who became very popular about a year ago for his streaming talk show and primarily giving dating advice to women. Women will call into his show, give them and ask questions about their image, asking for advice on their dating life and stuff like that. And he became very, very popular. He had a guest on about a year ago, and he ended up calling her average at best, which is what went viral and made him extremely popular. So within the black community, especially among black women, Kevin Samuels has more of a 50-50 following, meaning you either hate the man or you love the man. And yesterday, unfortunately, he passed away. And so we're going to be covering it because Kevin Samuels has had an impact on how we have conversations regarding relationships within the Black community. His detractors did not really care for his tone, his delivery method, and so he got a fair amount of pushback for that. A lot of men appreciated him because they were saying that he spoke for and was saying things that men are not traditionally allowed to say without any pushback or consequences for that. So I played the video of him for those of you who do not know who he is, and just kind of give you a little bit of a little taste of what what his content is. So I'm going to bring up one of the guys that is going to be featured on the show on a regular basis, Mr. Morris, and he's and I are going to talk about Kevin Samuels a little bit and what he's meant to those who support him. Hey, Mr. Morris, how you doing?
How you doing tonight?
How you doing? So, when did you find out about his passing?
Actually, this morning when I got up work, and you know, it's kind of sad because actually brought up a lot of topics that us as black men have black men. You know, like for me, a lot of our stuff that we fear, he brought it out. Like he was talking to like some men don't want to date another woman who has kids by somebody else. I mean, that's not saying that's not wrong, but at the same time, that was true. And that was like for me, a long time I didn't go into a relationship. Somebody about somebody else.
Yeah, definitely.
And he touched
Go
on
ahead.
a lot of topics that we like to speak about love.
Yeah, he does. I really don't know because it's kind of shocking. Kevin Samuels was 53 years old at the time of his passing. And today I've seen a lot of different content with people celebrating the fact that the man died, which I thought was kind of distasteful for them to celebrate that. We said backstage that you have the right to be a detractor or be disagreeable or something like that, but to sit there and celebrate somebody's death is a little bit disgusting, if you ask me. We can debate the issues all day long, and let me just be quite honest. When you talk about people who like to deal with or address issues that are pertaining to or involving anything related to Black, the moment that you are what one would can be perceived as brutally honest or straightforward or upfront, we are the most vicious people about when people are telling truths to us. And a lot of times, just because you don't want to hear something, that doesn't make it necessarily not true. And we're really, really good at behaving like that. What I want to do is, real quick, I want to, of course, we don't know the man personally or anything like that, but there are people who do know him personally, and I just kind of want to play a little bit of messages from people who actually knew him on a personal level, just so we can, I think, do a decent tribute to the brother. Okay, hold on a second.
What a difference a day makes. Right now I have May 5th at 9:05 p.m. On my clock. I spoke to O'Shea, I think about an hour or so ago, who passed on the news. I'm not typically one for hearsay or gossip, so I much rather hold back and wait for the actual news to occur. It's hard for me to put into words what I feel like right now. It's it feels like a numbing pain, if that makes sense. It feels like I'm in pain, but there's Novocaine over my body. So I know I'm in pain, but I just feel numb. Forgive me, I have a very small family, so I'm not accustomed to death amongst my family or my friends. You guys don't know this, but and you'd have no way to know this because I've never really talked about this, but I began developing a friendship with Kevin about a year or so ago. We just DM'd each other on Instagram, like, hey man, I like your content. Hey man, I like your content too. Exchange numbers, and we just began to have conversations. Those conversations, which typically focused from a business perspective, from strategy to gaining audience to reach, began to transition into a friendship. Over the last several months, I talked to Kevin on the phone, if not every day, every other day.
I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it because obviously the brother's in pain. Let me share something about you. This young man, he goes by the name of MTR. Um, Earlier this year, MTR was diagnosed with cancer. And early in Kevin Samuels's life, when he was in college, he was also diagnosed with cancer and was able to beat it. So they really became close when MTR got his cancer diagnosis. And I believe MTR is about 34 or 35 years old. And Kevin was real instrumental and supportive um, in supporting him through that because I think MTR might be, I think he's an only child and is very close to his father and stuff like that. So while we're out here, people are out here, celebrating the death of Kevin Samuels like that's something to celebrate. Understand, just because you disagree with someone, just because you don't like their perspective on something, just because you they hold a mirror up to you and you don't like what you see in it, doesn't mean that you should be out here vilifying somebody, especially when your anger or dislike of the individual has no basis in reality. To a degree, I believe every last one of us have experienced that, either on the job, amongst our friends, or even within our own family. Especially when you try to hold the mirror up and show somebody a reflection. Despite anyone's view of him or how, or what or feeling of him becoming misogynistic, let me point out something to you. The man had 1.4 million people subscribe to his platform. 1.4 million people. That's a lot of people.
And you know what? For us men, us black men, he gave us our mojo back.
Yeah, he made it.
It's always like, okay, women do. No, how do we feel? How do our mental state feel? How look at us as a human being, and that's what he did. He tried to put us on a pedestal, but this is how it was. This is how it should be.
Yeah.
And people are looking at it from the outside looking in, but it wasn't like that. He was telling that's how it was. Either how that was brought up or how I was brought up. he put us back on the pedestal. Like, we are the me. Give us this strength. Give us this to be strong. We should set boundaries as well as women do. And this is our boundaries. This what we accept. This what we won't accept.
Okay, absolutely. All right, guys. Mr. Morris, if you want to hang out for a little bit, I'll put you back in the weight room. We gotta get going on the show. We got some fantastic ladies on the show to talk about our topic today. And the video I chose to play of him, I selected it on purpose because it's related to the topic we're going to be doing today. So if you want to hang out, you can hang out. Otherwise, stand by for the start of the show.
Let's have a conversation. Hey, yo, let's chop it up, man. Hey, yo, let's have a conversation. Hey, yo, may I interject? It's about time for communal reconnect. Power of the we in some type of context. Working on the us so we can hit up what's next. It's that grown brother, grown sister type of flex. More like soul check, not just collecting checks. Fact, not feelings is what we got on deck. Take the high road, so this here is high tech. Getting to the real, everything that we hitting on. Pull up or sit down, tell me what you sipping on. Reclaiming kinghood, that is what we getting on. Real headlines is what we spitting on. So, hey now, yo, let's have a conversation. Maybe take a sec to talk on what we facing. Only way to change is to change the situation. How about we break bread now and have a conversation? Hey now, yo, let's have a conversation. Maybe take a sec to talk on what we facing. Only way to change is to change the situation. How about we break bread now and have a conversation? Let's have a conversation. Hey, yo, let's have a conversation. Have a conversation. Have a conversation.
All right, everybody. We are the Real Bravado Network, and this is Have the Conversation, okay? Please do me a huge favor. Those of you who are watching or will be watching, go to YouTube, search Real Bravado Network, hit the subscribe button. That's the biggest way you can support this streaming platform, okay? We absolutely need your support, and this program would not be able to move forward without your support of subscribing and coming in, and also coming and joining the panel, okay? Also, those of you that are viewing right now, if you would like to participate, you can actually come on board and join the panel. Let me see. I will put a link, and I just put the link in the description box, and you can click the link, and you will be able to come aboard on the panel, okay? So yeah, go ahead and do that for me. All right, let's get down to business. I just want to remind people, especially those who didn't watch last week, in the last few years, there's been quite a bit of a growing movement in Black America between Black men and Black women regarding having conversations that, especially for those that around what we want from one another. Okay. Oh, before I go too far, I didn't do this at the beginning. Let me introduce myself. My name is Tavares Moore. I'm not an image consultant like Kevin Samuels. I'm not an expert in relationships or culture or history, anything like that. I'm just an average middle-class Black man who is sick and tired of being sick and tired. I do, have a formal education. I've completed undergrad and grad school. I've worked in multiple professional environments like human services, nonprofit, civil rights organizations, educational and vocational settings, also healthcare. So I've been in the business of serving people my entire working career, including especially my own community. So I do have some knowledge about the issues that we are facing. And so, which is what is really inspiring me to try to do this this program to actually to see if we can figure out a way to do something about it. But I do want to be honest with everyone, and I said this on the last streaming show, is that just because I'm choosing to take on these topics does not mean that I'm perfect, or that somehow I'm better, or I got the magic key or the magic or whatever. I'm just here to ask the questions and have conversations and see if we can push ourselves forward somehow. I want everybody to be very clear. I don't know about y'all, but I have failed. I have failed in being able to be an effective leader inside my home. And it doesn't matter if I didn't possess the skills, the tools, or the wisdoms to lead a wife. I failed at it. I believe that if we want to move our culture forward, there needs to be more personal accountability to what we do. Even the failure is if you want effective leadership, it's also effective leadership knowing when to move on, as well as trying to inspire somebody. So I failed to do that. But out of failure should come a roadmap of success. And so that's what I'm hoping to do with this. I heard someone say the other day, I was watching something, they were talking about their personal failures, and they started a streaming show and stuff like that, and they said that they were able to help and develop themselves through the work that they did on their platform, and I think that might be true for myself, okay? Now, the way we engage one another during this process is also important. We as Black people, believe it or not, have become very comfortable with being very informal with each other, which can lead to lowering the ability to maintain respect and decorum for one another. Over here, I'm planning to have pressure-tested conversations, which we're going to start tonight with some of those pressure-tested conversations by talking about her image, okay? As the facilitator, I will do everything in my power to hold everyone to the same standard of respect and decorum. Terms like Mr., Mrs., Miss, Ms., Sir, Ma'am, those will be paramount over here, okay? It's dignified, it's respectful, it shows decorum, particularly when we are talking about pressure-tested conversations, okay? And what I mean by tested, I hope people know what I mean by pressure-tested conversations, meaning very difficult conversations, or if we have a very tense disagreement about a subject matter, we still are going to maintain dignified decorum with one another. And we don't do a good job of that with each other. We're very comfortable with stepping out of line with each other, and we got to do a better job of that, okay? All right, and the reason why I'm so passionate about that is because over here with the Real Bravado Network, we're all about investing in her image, his image, and our image. And as we go along, you'll know what I mean by her image, his image, and our image as we go along, okay? Remember, too, also, every conversation that we have over here is going to be covered from the perspective of image. The last week's show, we talked a lot about image. I'm not going to go over that today because I really want to get right to the topic and to the panel. But understand what I mean by image is also reputation. Image and reputation are closely linked to one another as far as meaning. So understanding not just from a physical image standpoint, but also image from the definition of our reputation and how we're seen and how we're perceived, okay? All right, I think that's about it for there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead. We have a segment where we got called the Real Bravado Headlines, and that's where we introduce our topic. So here is the Real Bravado Headlines. So, I'm a firm believer that no little girl or young woman coming up, dreams about growing up and becoming a single mom. I do not believe for one second that's what they want for their life. And I'm sure that's no woman's life goal, especially our black women. But, however, for a lot of our black women, that is not necessarily the reality that they're faced with. In 2018, a survey was done by this survey institution called the Motherly State of Motherhood. And they concluded, based on the survey, that black mothers are 4 times more likely to be single and be the primary breadwinners in their home, okay? According to blackdemographics.com, which I'm going to suggest everybody take a look at blackdemographics.com. I mean, it's a very detailed analysis of the demographics affecting black folk in this country. But according to blackdemographics.com, only 27% of black women will be or are married in this country, which leaves 73% of our black women between the ages of 18 and 65 single with children. In my mind, that's nearly every black woman out here is single with children. We know that's not the case, but 73% of our homes are headed by black women, okay? And if you were born between the years of like 1965 and 1985, there are actually 600,000 more black women in this country than men. So a lot of times I always hear ladies talk about, that there's always somebody for somebody. If you actually paired up every single black man and every single black woman, there will be 600. If you're born in that age bracket, there'll be 600,000 more black women left over. So there is no such thing as there's somebody for everybody. I mean, unless you don't mind sharing, which we'll get to that later. Okay. Okay. In 2020, the United States Census estimated that almost 80% of black children born today are now being born to single mothers. And that's alarming because the next step from 80% is going to be 100%. You know what I mean? And that's alarming. So when we're having these conversations now that are becoming more popular and prevalent over the last years about, there's been this reemergence of black family, black marriage, black men, black women reconnecting. If 73% of our women have children, then if you're a man looking for a black woman, and by the way, on blackdemographics.com, it states that 80% of black men prefer and choose and marry black women. So if you're a black man looking for a family, you are more likely than not are going to have to become a stepdad. Which brings me to the question for the panel. And I got a bunch of ladies to talk to me about this and a few moms on here, which is this. For a guy, being a stepdad, is it a good deal or bad deal? Let's bring on the panel and find out, okay? All right. Hello, ladies. How are you?
Hello.
Miss Lucas. Hi. Miss Lucas, if you can go ahead and unmute for me.
Hello.
Hold on a second. Somebody's mic is... Hold on. I'll find it. Don't worry about it. I'll find it. All right, Miss Thomas, that was yours. If you got any other devices on, like a TV or something like that, you might gonna need to turn them off, okay? And then I could bring you back up. How's everybody doing? Miss Lucas, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Miss Gilmore, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. And Miss Wilcox, can you hear me? You're muted, Miss Wilcox.
Yes,
There we go.
yes,
There
I
you
can.
There you go. Unmute yourself, Miss Wilcox. Keep yourself unmuted.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
And Miss
My
Flo, how
son
you
is in the
doing?
back. In the back. I'm good.
Yeah, that's fine. And Christy,
Yeah.
hi, can you? So I see by my little monologue, I didn't run nobody off, so nobody's afraid of the topic. I see, huh?
No, absolutely not.
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
All right, Miss Wilcox, I'm actually going to start with you if you don't mind.
Okay.
Stepdad, being a stepdad, is that a good deal or a bad deal?
Well, it all depends. And for one, when a woman dates a man, you have to be sure if that man is ready to step into that type of role. Because that man may just like you and not the full package. So it has to be known that hey, I'm a package deal. Yeah, you're not gonna see me without my kids. So that's one factor. Two, being sure that woman is over the guy that she has a child with. Like the only reason why they have a relationship is because of the son, and that's their only conversation. Is if it's not about the son, we have no reason to talk. But if she still has those for the guy, then it's not gonna work.
Okay. Good deal or bad deal? You got to pick one.
It's a good deal. I'll say it is.
And how is it a good deal?
If you have somebody that wants to be a dad, once that package deal, it's a good deal.
If he wants to be a dad, it's a good deal if he becomes a stepdad. Why don't he just go and get his own kids then?
Some men don't want really go through all that. They have a woman that already has a child. They don't want to do all that. And this men that just don't want to go through that whole process of having a kid and all of that. They have somebody who already has a kid that's at a certain age. Don't have to deal with that.
Okay. All right. I'm going to stick a pin in that. I'll be right back with you. Okay, Miss Wilcox? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Miss Gilmore, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I'm gonna put everybody back in the weight room for a second. All right, Miss Gilmore.
Yes.
Being a stepdad, good deal or bad deal?
It can go both ways.
It can't go both ways. It's either a good deal or a bad deal.
Well, I say that because I've experienced coming from a dad that was a stepdad, and then also having stepdads in my life with my children. I agree with Miss Wilcox when she was talking about, and I think that's with any parenting, whether you're going to be a dad that has your own children or not, you have to get ready for it. You have to be prepared for that. So as long as those boundaries are set, because it's a separate relationship that the step parent has to have with the child, right? It's a own. They have to cultivate that kind of relationship and see where they mesh. They may not mesh as parent child as much as the parents do, but they can provide that other adult, that friendship or that guidance that child needs. To me, a child that has a lot of adults on their team is gonna win.
Yeah, I have no disagreement with that. But what we're trying to figure out, is it a good deal or a bad deal?
Well, for me, I think it's a good deal because there's a choice that's being made, right?
Oh yeah, it's
In
a
that
choice.
relationship, not just for the stepdad, but also the stepchild, right?
Yeah. Okay. I have a question, but I'm gonna stick a pin in it because I want to see what everybody else thinks is a good or bad deal. So I'll be right back with you. Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right. Hey, Dr. Thomas. Dr. Thomas, can you hear me? Dr. Thomas, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I was gonna say because I couldn't hear you. Stepdad, good deal, bad deal. What do you think?
Good deal.
You think it's a good deal?
I think it's a good deal. Based on the individual.
Hold on, Miss Thomas. You're kind of breaking up a little bit. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can. Okay. Are you there? Can you hear me, Miss Thomas?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. Could you? All right, start over. Good deal, or you said you think it's a good deal to be a stepdad?
I think it's a good deal. Yes.
Okay. And why do you think
The
that?
reason I say good deal is because a man that is mature, that chooses to be a stepdad, he does not consider himself a stepdad. He considers himself a dad that stepped up.
Okay. And that's why you think it's a good deal because he considers himself a dad that steps up?
Yes.
Okay. What does he get for being a stepdad other than being a dad who steps up?
There's a lot of rewards, in my opinion, because many times when dads walk out of individuals' lives, those children suffer. So therefore, he has the opportunity to mold this child. He also has the opportunity to show this child love and teach this child how to become a man or a woman.
Okay. All right. Miss Thomas, I'm going to get right back to you. I'll be right back, okay? Okay. All right, Miss Lucas.
Yes.
How you doing?
Good.
Stepdad, good deal or bad deal?
Good deal.
Good deal. Those of you in the comments, if it's still got feedback, let me know. Let me know in the comment. You think it's a good deal?
Yeah.
Okay, why do you think it's a good deal?
Because children need to see both roles. They need to see a good role model of a male in the household working with that female so they know how to have a conversation with the opposite sex and to learn how to work together with somebody that don't look like them.
Interesting. Okay, interesting. All right, I'm going to put you back in the weight room, and then I'll be right back with you. Hey, Flo, how you doing?
I'm all right, TJ.
All right, what do you think, Flo? Good deal or bad deal?
Believe it or not, it's a good deal. Because
Whoa, wait a minute. It's
blow you away, didn't it? But it's a good deal. Because any boy can pop off and have a baby, but it takes a real man to be a father. You feel me? And when you have someone that don't want to hold the responsibility, somebody got to step up. You know, if nobody steps up, now we really got a problem. So like I said, any boy can have a baby, but it takes a man to be a father.
okay. Mr. Morris, I'm going to come to you in a little bit, okay? Because I see you over there kind of doing it. All right, Flo, I'm going to put you back. I'm going to bring on Christy and see what she says, okay? All right, Miss Young. Stepdad.
Good evening.
Yeah. Good deal or bad deal being a stepdad?
I'm going to concur with the other lady. It can be a good deal and it can be a bad deal. But I am not inclined to have a stepdad over my children because I've been in a home where my father was a stepfather
And he was a wonderful, wonderful dad to my brother and sisters, as well as, me being his biological. But then my mother remarried a man who took no interest in our lives. And, he was there for what he could get out of it. And that was her. But she came with 2 children.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like he shouldn't have been there. He wasn't prepared to be a stepdad. He didn't desire to be a stepdad.
Okay.
He was just a man in the household.
You're just a man in the household. Okay. So the overall consensus amongst the ladies is being a stepdad is a good thing. Here's my question. I'm trying to figure out how to put it without, if it's such, why have we gotten to the point where we need so many stepdads? What's wrong with the men that we chose to have children with?
You're asking me that? Okay.
I'm talking about in general. We don't need to go specifically into your specific situation, but in general.
There doesn't necessarily have to be anything wrong with him. Situations arise. And because of our community, our history, and what has transpired as a people, we were taken and ripped away from our mates, our children. And that's something that is long lasting. So, wait a minute, let me see if I turn this down some, if that'll help. So, it's not something that anyone ever plans on. But it is something that happens repetitively because we got in the black community, seeds were planted during slavery, and they weren't always good seeds. Where a man was ripped away from his family and taken over here and started a family over here. And now the same thing is perpetuating itself amongst the black community. No woman wants to be a single mother, like you say.
I agree with that. However, I understand the slavery argument. I'm actually going to go to Miss Wilcox. Christy, I'll be right back. I understand the slavery argument, Miss Wilcox, that, a lot happened during slavery. But here's the thing. I told somebody one time, we were talking about, here's the question. At what point are we responsible for our own actions?
At the very beginning, because a lot of times, especially in relationships, you get so rose-colored glass with the relationship, and everything seems good and all of that, and then next thing you know, you have consequences, good or bad, when it comes to that relationship. And then when children become involved, then now you really got to reevaluate, like, okay, is this relationship a good fit? Is it a bad fit? What's really going on? So now you have to look back and see, okay, so what part did I play in this entire situation? And how can I fix it?
Right.
So accountability kind of gets cut off a lot of times, especially when you're in a relationship, because you be so in love and so infatuated with somebody that you forget about what's really important and what's going on around you.
So
until it's too late.
My question is, because one can make the argument that it's not even an argument though. If you're looking at the data, it doesn't lie. Virtually every last one of our women are growing up and becoming single mothers. So at some point, does it ever cross anyone's mind to think about, okay, dating is fine. You can date whatever. You can be in a relationship with somebody, fine. But why choose have the child with someone when you're not married to them? I mean, because if families are the building blocks of all communities, right? If families are the building blocks of all communities, and it creates stability, marriage is the step for that, correct? So we have 73% of our ladies are out here without without the father of their child or children in their home. So at what point do we look at what we're doing and saying, what we're doing, is it effective?
Ooh. I can't necessarily say when, because I mean, I had my child without being married, and that wasn't the plan. Like I said before, just a lot of times you're in a relationship, and you and your mate, y'all, you talk about those things like, oh yeah, I want to get married and I want to have kids, and y'all have fun and y'all getting it on and all of that. And then next thing you know, like, oops, baby.
Oops. You do know how babies get here, right?
Yeah.
So that's not an oops.
Flowers and drinks. But it's
Stop it.
it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't. I guess oops on my part, because I mean, I knew how it worked.
Right. It ain't no oops.
It
Miss
wasn't oops on
Gilmore.
me, but I guess
Miss Gilmore, hold on, Miss Wilcox. Miss Gilmore, why do we continue to have children before we require? I'm gonna put, because we're talking about her image, our black woman's image, her reputation. Why do we continuously elect to have children before we get married?
In my opinion, mental health is a real thing.
So you think 73% of our women got mental health issues?
If you look at the consensus of how many women have been abused or went through something in their childhood, and then even the ones that weren't abused, we were brought up learning how to play with dolls. We weren't brought up learning how to choose a husband. We weren't brought up taught how to.
I'm glad you said that, because I think that's that piece right there that you said, not being brought up on how to choose a husband.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a very
we were taught to be mommies and have these little bottles and diapers,
and not taught
we were trained to be
and not taught how to be wives.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And then you add mental health on top of that, because yes, it should be just logical, even because now we're adults. But if you have all these mental health issues, you've watched your families go through whatever they've gone through, you're just living. Life doesn't pause for you to get it, right?
But it has to be intentional. I would think it has to be intentional, because if the basic building blocks of any community is a strong family unit, do black people have a community, and do we have a family? If 73% of the households have no father in the home. Dr. Thomas, what do you think about that? You got to unmute for me, Dr. Thompson.
I believe that just as the former speaker was saying, we were not taught how to be wives. However, as we grow older and we become wiser, we have to make choices. And a lot of times we don't take the time to think about, when we lay down and have unprotected sex, what can come out of that. So there's a lot of decisions that are made in the heat of the moment. And in the heat of the moment, we end up getting pregnant with the wrong person, a person that does not want to become a dad, a person that had no interest in becoming a dad. Many times, to just be honest, some of the sexual relationships were a one-time thing. It was just a sex thing, and they were in and they were out, and now you're left with a child that they have no interest in because they had no interest in you.
Right. Miss Lucas,
Yeah.
what does that have to say about personal responsibility? Because it's one thing. I'm going to keep harping this. 73%. That's almost every black woman in the country.
As a child, I know when I was growing up, I said, when I get grown, I'm gonna meet me a tall, dark, and handsome guy. And when you watch the different, here comes the man on the horse, he's gonna come and rescue me. And a lot of women, they see these men, they think, well, let me see if I can get a baby by him. Maybe he'll stay by me. So it's like a hope and a prayer that, in their mind, they thinking, well, if I'm pregnant, he'll stay. They not some people not looking at the consequences.
But then that happens, and then you wake up one day and you want somebody, and then here comes another man. And what is he getting in that process? Let me back up. How many black men do you think in this, percentage wise, what do you think is the percentage of black men in this country that actually that do not have children?
10%.
You think 10%? Okay, cool. Stay right there, Miss Lucas. I'll be right back. Dr. Thomas, what do you think?
I think the percentage is pretty low too. I would say maybe about 35%.
35%. Okay, well, cool. Miss Gilmore, what do you think?
The percentage of black men that don't have children?
Correct.
I'm going to say probably 45%.
Oh, you're on a little bit over the higher side. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Miss Christie, Miss Young, what do you think the percentage of black men that do not?
I would say about 35%.
About 35%. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Flo, what do you think?
I say about 45.
45%.
Somebody got these women pregnant.
No, I said the percentage of men that do not have children.
I say about a good 35%.
About 35% of black men do not have children.
Yeah.
So okay, hold on. Hopefully, let me see if I can do this. So, all of you have the consensus that you believe the overwhelming majority of black men have children.
Not me.
You don't think the overwhelming majority of black men have children?
I do.
I think it's like 45% of
okay.
That don't have children.
Okay. Well, according to the Census Bureau, 54% of black men are single and childless.
Mm-hmm.
The vast majority of black men in this country do not have children.
How many?
54%. That means the majority of black men, the average black man walking around is probably childless.
Wow.
So why is so many women have kids?
I'm glad you asked. Ain't that a great question? So wait a minute. Flo goes, wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense.
It don't make sense to me.
The vast majority of black, and here's the thing. The reason why is because the vast majority, so 27% of black women are married, right? 30% of black men are married. 30%. It's about 30% of black men. Or 30, I think it's 33% according to blackdemographics.com are married. So if you do the math, and it's just like, it's kind of like not like exact science. If you do the math, roughly between 16 to 18% of all black men make all the babies in the black community. So that means that the vast majority of our black women who say they want a faithful, loyal man, you're out here sharing a man.
Yeah, I believe that's true.
You're out here sharing a guy. So yeah, Flo. So to answer your question, of like, wait a minute, if 54%, wait a minute, the majority of black men don't have any kids, where are all these kids coming from?
So
Y'all sharing
basically,
men.
you got one man that has what, 3, 4, 5 baby mamas.
Absolutely. And our ladies are signing up for these men like it ain't nothing. When you meet a man and he has a child, I understand, and it depends, and I'm gonna make an allowance for the age. You know what I mean? Depends on where you are, single in age. If you are south of 35, in a lady without children, which is very rare. But if you're south of 35 without any children, there's no reason on hell you should be dating a man with a child. For what? When the fact of the matter is, the overwhelming majority of black men do not have children. Now, when we start talking about his image, I'm going to talk about how in the world does 54% of black men allow this stuff to happen? The majority of us. How do we lose out to...
TJ, do you take into consideration the amount of incarceration of black men do we have? Why is less few men outside that women have to share? Because most of them are locked up. Most of these daddies are locked up.
According to blackdemographics.com, which they pull their statistics from the CDC, the Census Bureau, the Department of Labor Bureau of Statistics, they codify all of those the data. One of the biggest lies that's been perpetrated is the volume of black men that are actually in prison, which is not true.
Interesting.
There are, in the last 20 years, during the 1980s, it was true that there were more black men in prison than were walking around on the streets. That is not true today. It's nowhere near true. It's so far from true, it's not even funny. But we still have that mindset, you know. I talked about, and I know some of you didn't hear the broadcast last week, but I talked about, when we're talking about image, I talked about, you know, be careful how your image is crafted, and be careful who's crafting it, because some people have a vested interest in how your image is being perceived. And one of the vested interests, let me tell you something. Black folks is the largest, we make up 17% of the country, but we're the largest consumer base in the country, meaning we are the economic engine of the country.
Yes.
The United States government and the business class have a vested interest in having 73% of our homes without a man in the house.
It's intentional.
Because it's if Christy needs a house, I need a house. I gotta have a house.
Yep.
You know, if Miss Wilcox needs a car, you know, because she's about, you know, I need a car. They sell us in Black America. We get sold 2 sets of everything because we're not under the same. Because we're not under the same roof. We're not under the same. We're not under the same cooperation.
We ain't team working at all.
At all. We're not team working at all with one another. Absolutely not. And that question goes back to, you know, I made there's a movement out here, you know, even though we talked about, Kevin Simmons passing away, but there's a movement out here of men saying that we should not date with or deal with any woman with children. Because it's not a solid, viable plan, because most men want their own legacy. You know, you understand what I'm saying? But hold on a second, Flo. But my thought is this: the culture is dying. You know what I mean? With an 80% out of wedlock birth rate, somebody's got to come in here and do this. And so that's why I raised the question: stepdad, good deal or bad deal? And all you ladies say, it's a good deal. What makes it a good deal other than the fact he gets to feel good about himself? If he go ahead, Flo.
Kids need somebody in their life with a male role model if the dad is not going to step up. You know, it's not about you. It's about the next generation and how we can push it forward. Everybody too selfish and thinking about self, and it's not about you. It's about us as a whole. You know, so if this person ain't willing to step up, do you have the right to force a man? No, he got to want to do it. If he love you, he's willing to tolerate anything that comes with you, you know, and it's up to the woman to choose wisely. You know, don't choose a man that don't.
Why can't she choose wisely from the beginning? 54%. This notion that there's not enough black men out here. 54% of black men are single, childless, and here's the other part of this. The stat: 54% of black men that are single and childless, they have enough income that they're in the middle class.
TJ,
Christy?
don't you know men are single dads too? Is it fair if he's looking for a mom that we supposed to see it that way too then? Because men are single dads too. So we supposed to all think that way?
Here's the thing, Flo. Here's the thing. 9 times out of 10, when a woman is coming into collaboration with a man with children, that child isn't coming with him. And it's less than 8% of men have their children as the primary parent. Less than 8%. It's almost negligible. The overwhelming situation is, if you are coming to collaboration with a man with a child, you're not going to have to deal with his child in your house. And so, but if a man comes into collaboration with you and your children, yes, he has to accept you, your children, and everything that comes along with that. But my question is, when I talk about good deal or bad deal, how many times have you heard a lady talk about, when it comes to the stepfather, that he can't discipline the kid that's in his house?
Well, to me, that has a lot to do with there not being an open communication before they decide. We were talking about that has to be something that you talked about. And I think that's part of it. We come with these expectations in these families and dating. Even in dating, there's no boundary when the date is gonna get that close to their child. In order to figure out if they're going to be that, there's an assumption that as soon as you date someone and you have children, that we gotta talk. You may never meet my children, right? So I think if we're not taking time, and I wanted to go back to because you were saying why can't you choose before, like the first. When we get out and we get out to as women and girls, we're on the fast track to that motherhood. It's a little bit different now, but I know in time it was all about getting into the relationship and getting into the relationship. And those goals, other than relationship goals, were not really there, or not that we wanted to be single parents, but we definitely had the knight in shiny armor, the wedding, the wedding dream, and all these fantasies that we have. But the realistic fantasies of going to college and having a career and building the nest egg and all that stuff, those weren't the things that we were thinking about. So I think having those plans, those goals, and coming together, those realistic conversations. When you meet somebody, I think that's when you develop. Is this person going to be suitable in the way that they live, whether they're the step?
Right. I remember recently I had a conversation about this, and this is why I chose the topic. And I told the lady, I said, and she thought based on my statement that I was like anti, stepdad. I'm not completely anti stepdad, but I told her, I said, if I'm coming into your home, If I'm accepting you, what do I get? And she got offended because I said to her, what do I get? And she was like, what do you mean, what do you get? What do I get? And she was like, you have to get something? Yes. I have to get something. Yes. You know, I said, because I told her, I said, and I walked her down the whole path of my responsibility. As a husband, what is my responsibility to the home? And I know we always talk about like the providing and the professing and all this other good stuff, but and I asked her, I said, do you know what that actually means and what that looks like? I said, if I take on you and your child and I have to live in my role as a husband, my primary job, yeah, I got to provide, profess. We'll talk about that down the line, what that actually means. I said, but my number one job is if something goes bump into the night, is to die for you. So what are you offering me with somebody else's kid that's worth my life? You think my family, you know, I got to go sacrifice that to make sure you and some other man's kid can get away and be safe. Or I got to sacrifice my my resources, my teaching. What if I'm a man with a child? Now I got to split my resources with your child or children. So yeah, I asked her, what do I get? And it was go find somebody who don't have any
but
kids.
TJ, why are you approaching a woman with a kid? You know what comes with it, so you get what you approach.
I love that question, Flo. 73% of all black women have a child. If I want to approach a woman that does not have kids, Flo, I gotta go get me a woman that's no.
Exactly.
I gotta go get me a woman that's not black.
That's not necessarily true.
Think of Flo. 27% of black women are married. Do the math. 73% of black women are single black mothers. It's less than 4% of black women out here who don't have any children. So if I'm a black man and I want a black woman, I'm going to have to pick a woman with children. If I want a woman without children, the argument can be made is I'm going to have to go outside of black women to get that.
Well,
so
I understand. I
understand your comment about why would you approach a woman with children like that. I like most black, according to the data. Most
you
black
cannot
men.
Blame her if that's what you choose. She has kids.
It's not about.
You can't fault her if that's what you approach.
It's not about blame. Is it a good deal or a bad deal? And what does he get?
It's a good deal. To me,
I do too, because you're not only getting this opportunity to build your legacy, you're building it with someone who has problem solving skills, who has multitasking skills. A mother has developed those skills. Most of the time, she's had to develop the skills to just keep her family or her house together. So you're getting a part of it. And with the child, if these fatherless children, they come with a lot of love. They just want somebody to be able to love on. So you're going to have this family that's full of love and the possibility to really build a legacy with somebody who's been out there in the trenches, building on their own. And now they got that stamina that it's going to help you get to where you got to go. They're going to be able to
the legacy that a guy coming in, he's building somebody else's legacy, not his.
A lot of times some people can't even have kids. When they can't have kids of their own, they don't mind taking on that role. It just depends on the situation. Every situation is different. If it don't fit you, you just don't deal with it. But a lot of people.
And that's, go ahead, Miss Young.
My brother, who my mother had him, he was a year and a half old, somewhere 2 years old when they met. When my father left this planet, my brother is his son. He raised my daddy raised my brother, and he loved him like his own. So again, I've been on both sides of that coin, but I also somewhat, he built his legacy because my brother acts more like our father than one of our other brothers. So you can't say he's building someone else's legacy.
No.
Harold Young is my brother's dad.
I can respect that, but your father's generation, that generation, Miss Young, being a stepfather was viewed quite differently than it is today. If a man had to come into like your mother's generation, it was more likely because the original father, something happened. And then and when that new man came in, something happened to the original father. Typically, you still have people who would leave, but typically, when a new father would have to come in, that's because something tragic happened to the older, to the actual biological father. But the mother of the house made it known and made it clear to the children. This is the man of the house. You will go under his guidance, and you will not embarrass me or cause strife, and you will listen to him.
That is absolutely true.
That does not happen today. You get with a woman, especially if if a guy wants to, and the first thing she's gonna tell you, especially if it's gonna progress, those are my kids. Period. He has to marry this woman. He can't discipline. A lot of stepfathers today are in homes with children that they're not allowed to discipline. Because now, especially, and then here's the thing, and if I have a different discipline philosophy, let's just say I believe in spanking and whooping, whatever, and I got a kid in my house, been in my house for 3 years, and I whoop him. Now I only got to deal with mom because she thinks that's out of line, but now I got to deal with his daddy too, his actual daddy. So that's why I'm asking, good deal or bad deal? Now, I asked the question, is it a good deal or a bad deal? Not saying that we shouldn't be doing it. My goal is for our ladies out here, is to start thinking about what you are going to be asking that man to do, what you're going to be asking of him. And a lot of times what I'm learning, especially when I get the pushback or I see like different content creators and I see different conversations around this, a lot of our women don't think about what we're being asked to do, which is why the question is being proposed. Good deal or bad deal? And there's a growing movement that's saying it's a complete bad deal. All of the responsibilities and none of the benefits of it.
Well, I still think that part of bringing a family, the conversation about how you parent, which is something you should do. Like when you were saying earlier, why don't we make those choices with the person we make a child with? We don't have those tough conversations before we decide if this or following our lower, whatever. We're not really having those conversations. So that's something that is a good deal about a stepdad because he has the opportunity to have conversations with her to make that that's something that a lot of us didn't get to do when we matched up with people that we couldn't. But he can actually have that conversation and make it more of a fit. Talking about styles and discipline styles.
Have you ever seen a man try to talk to a woman about being a stepdaddy to her kids? Yes. And what he wants and what he needs and how that turned out for him?
That's not all situation though.
It's not a total sum deal. It's not, nothing is always all, but we're talking about in general of what happens, you know.
Good deal. It's a good deal all the way for me because the benefit that comes out of, a kid being raised, not because you a daddy, that doesn't mean you care about that child. You know how many people will have a child that they abuse? That's why DCFS is involved because people don't always treat their kids accordingly because that's their child. So sometimes stepdaddies and stepmamas have to step in. It's just what it is.
Yeah. My one of my final questions about this is, um, with the 73% of our women, are heading up their houses by themselves. Something has to. I hate to use the word "has to be done," but something needs to be done about that. Because let me tell you something: our black women, believe it or not, we are very comfortable with being alone because you're generally safe. You know what I mean? But if you actually look at actual protection, our black women are the most vulnerable group of women out here.
Yes.
Because you don't have anybody in the house. So let me tell you guys something. We all remember when the country got shut down for the original Corona, right?
Right.
According to all the news reports, we were 2 or 3 months away from a national food shortage. And if you don't think for 1 second that other groups don't know that the vast majority of our women are by themselves, you're sadly mistaken. And if we would have, let's just say, I know it didn't happen, but let's just say we would have reached that threshold where we got a food shortage. And then you got, Mr. Suburban dude and mama, and they got their kids to feed, and they know that down where the black folks live is a bunch of women without no men around to protect them, and they need food. When they come, if they come looking for your food, who's gonna protect you?
Well, we got to put an end to that. Hey, that's why we have these conversations so we can figure it out and do better.
We got to figure it out. And we got to do better. And I think one of the things that we need to start doing is start looking at how we select the people that come into our life. And also, if you're selecting a better dude, and a lot of times I know we all get caught up. I had this lady I work with. I used to tell her all the time. I said, she had like this really stringent physical prototype of a guy that she wanted, and I always used to tell her, I said, your best fit might be the man on the 5'7" man with a pot belly selling hot dogs with his hot dog cart. We get so wrapped up in
what we want.
What we want is gonna make us jump that we don't look at what's best for us.
Yeah,
and
true.
A lot of our black women get very pissed off at black men like me when we start comparing to other groups of women or other groups. And I always tell people, don't get mad about that. They don't have the problems we have. They don't have the problems we have, and they pick differently. The women pick differently. They may go have fun with Dede and Tyrone, but they not giving babies to Dede and Tyrone. We sign up and chase down Dede and Tyrone and try to give him, his cousin, and his stepdaddy babies. And it's a dip. Well, what, Miss Kenya? What? I'm just saying.
You're not lying, because a lot of us, we do end up with a particular man because he fits he has that potential.
And I tell every woman, you want a project, go get you an old big box Chevy.
I'm telling you.
But I'm just saying. But here's the thing.
No more. I'm over it.
But here's the thing: if you happen to get a guy that's fit, you gotta offer him something better than what you did, because he's got to take on more. He's got to take on more. And a lot of times our ladies are where I work at, when I tell the ladies where I work at, when we have these conversations, what do you mean I got to give them more? More of what? I'm not enough, and I tell them, no, you're not. You got to give them more. Huh?
I think men expect too much of women. What? Women are here for a certain purpose. We're not here to do all the stuff that you think we're here to do. We're here for a purpose, and it's not to stroke your ego,
Why not?
Why?
Why not?
You approaching me knowingly, so what more do you want besides what we are here to give you?
Why not?
Don't you want your ego stroked? It should be reciprocal.
Yeah, it should be togetherness. If we together, we stroking each other. No pun intended.
Right.
That is true, but the way how they talk is they want us to get on our knees and just what more do you want from a woman besides what they are here for?
If the average man does not want a subservient woman or wife. He wants a friendly, inspirational, submissive wife. And the word submissive with black women is like, those are fighting words. But we don't even look at what submissive means. The man submits to you. He's supposed to. He submits his resources, his protection. He submits that to you. He submits his leadership to you. And you're supposed to submit there's a reason why we're different, There's a reason why we are built differently. We are even chemically different. Most ladies view themselves or respond, they're very emotionally driven. You know what I mean? They make decisions emotionally most of the time. Men are not. Men are mostly practical.
I know some abusive men, no matter what a woman do for them. The woman can do everything and won't stop him from going out and cheating.
And then guess what? And those
are the ones you don't deal with.
Then those are the ones you don't deal with.
But when they come so deceitful, how can you pinpoint it? People are good actors. Not everybody come straightforward and concrete. You got
what
people come.
What does that song say? Everybody played the fool sometime. But here's the thing. But you don't continue to play that fool.
By the time you figure them out, they already got a baby involved that they're gonna use as a tool.
Why give them a baby before you're married, before you know? Why
Marriage
do that?
don't stop a man from doing what he's gonna do. Husbands beat their wives. This is just a piece of paper we talking about. You can't.
But you know what? There are also telltale signs that every woman needs to learn.
Yeah.
You need to learn. Don't keep playing the idiot or keep playing the fool or stay in that situation.
But we single out here, so we're not playing the fool. Evidently, if we're single, we're not willing to sit around and play the fool.
I'm going by what you said. I'm going by what you said. Now, there are some abusers out there. I've been abused, and it sounds like you possibly have been abused. But as we grow, we learn, and we see those flags, those red flags. And fool me once, shame on me.
Yes.
And a red flag. I've been taking care of my family and running my business, and that's not enough for you. I should give you more. That's a red flag. Right. We not always agree, but if you can't come in as a man, the prize you're getting from a woman that is taking care of her business, you don't even have to really come in and take care of what I'm taking care of. We can take care of things together. Then, what am I? I think men have to look at the women as more of something to gain than something to lose. I know somebody says that we're a liability. But if we're taking care of our households, we're paying our bills, we're building our businesses, then we're more of an asset because we're the skills that it takes to keep people alive, keep them fed. Other than just ourselves, as a single woman, I can keep myself alive and fed. But I'm keeping other people alive. I'm keeping them fed. I'm keeping them educated. Then I am not a liability. I'm an asset. And I think men need to look at that.
Yes, a man gotta choose. A woman should really never choose a man. It's up to a man to choose the wife of his choice, whether she comes with kids or not. If he see benefits in this woman, that's who he should choose, not pursue somebody with kids to not want to be bothered with kids.
I hear a man should choose, but Flo, how many men that you know that have been viable that tried to choose you and you didn't accept it? And that's for every lady on here. That's for every lady. How many ladies have had, every woman, every black woman has had more than one man that was more fit, more viable, and they did not choose them. For whatever cockamamie reason, they did not choose that man. So to sit there and say that a man chooses a wife, yeah, but we can't club you over the head and drag you back to our cave. It has to be a willing.
Yeah,
the man presents, the woman chooses.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are the ones who are in a position to say yay or nay.
And
because a man is going to shoot his shot, whether he really wants you or he just kind of want to get you. But the woman has to have enough fortitude,
discernment,
and willingness to say yay now. Otherwise, a lot of us have been in a position where we said, oh, well, he missed it right now.
You know, I guess I grew up hearing these words. A man should leave his mother's womb. He shall find him a wife, and they shall become one. That's what's embedded in me as I was coming up. So I always said, if a man approaches me, yes, I got to reciprocate. I got to like him too, but I was brought up on those words. You know, so.
But if you do not choose appropriate, a lot of our women, Flo, choose men by the most superficial standards and get themselves twisted up in the bind, over this. And it's normally, and I don't mean to be, rude, but it normally is when our ladies get a little bit, especially our women, get a little bit older, then all of a sudden they want to go back and try to correct it. And oftentimes it's asking a man to take a deal that you guys are saying is a good deal. And I'm not so sure. I'm not saying it's a good deal or a bad deal. I think it's situational.
Yes.
But I am of the mindset, because I'm one of the guys that are out here, I'm of the mindset that when I'm looking into a woman's, her decision making, her children, what I have to take on, what I got to do, there is a lot of responsibility that we don't, like I said earlier, a lot of times our women are just have been completely unaware of what you're asking of us, because we are, generally speaking, we're not asked to do the same things. Our roles are distinctively different. Now, a lot of women say that they play both roles. No, you don't. You play one. Sorry to tell you that. You play one. And you either do it well, responsible, or you don't. And the same thing with a guy. You know. So I don't know. This is something. It's something to think about. What I want people to think about or take from this going forward is, especially our ladies, when you're talking about your image and what you're doing. One, if you got younger sisters or daughters that are out here, searching, talk to them about how to select, what happens later on in life if you don't do well, And because you want us to have the best outcomes. A community is a family. And with a 73% single mother household, that's not a community. That's a woman with a bunch of kids. And then you got 54% of your black men out here, they make enough money to take care of you, and they don't have any children. And that means our women are sharing men, and not necessarily the best versions of our men either.
And a lot of these women need to learn how to love themselves so they won't have a whole bunch of baby daddies out here. So they got if they want then they don't have to worry about having 5 children and then the stepdaddy have to come in and take care of all these 5 baby daddy kids out here. So they have to learn how to love themselves.
It's something, you know. It's something to think about. Yeah, there is a growing movement out here that you know that they're teaching now. Especially, I asked somebody something one time. She has a 20-something-year-old son, and I said to her, I said, you know, when your son in the next 4 or 5 years, when he starts thinking about family, who is he gonna have to choose from to start his own? Every mama wants her son to have his own.
Yeah.
And I say, you got sons out here who especially if you got a son that's going to be worth something. And I don't mean like NBA worth something. I'm talking about character. You know, old school. And we are, I think we are in a shift right now where we're just, there's a group of us out here that's desperately trying to figure out how to fix this. You know, and my way is looking at examining the parts of us, her image, his image, and our image. Right now we're dealing with our ladies. But yeah, this was a decent conversation. We had as much as like 15 people on it tonight. I don't know. We're not going to be able to answer every question all the time, every night. I just want us to be able to think about what we're doing, how we're thinking. I didn't even ask anybody if they're single or married or anything on here, but if you are a single lady and you're looking and you want to be married, think about the type of guy the type of man that you want, and then what you're gonna offer him. And newsflash, ladies, I'm gonna tell you something: a productive dude with character does not care about your money, your degree, your business, or anything like that. Those are inconsequential to productive men. What they care for is feminine, beautiful, and inspirational women. That's what they care about.
And a peaceful existence.
Yes, that's what we care about. All that other stuff is inconsequential because it's not ours. It's not ours. And normally a guy that is productive, you will be coming into his stuff, not the other way around. You run across a dude like me, you own a house, you come across a dude like me, you want to get married, you're selling your home, and you're coming in with me. Because that's the way it's supposed to be. It's the natural order of things.
Yep.
You're like, what do you mean? I've owned my home for 10 years. Well, sorry. It's got to go. We don't need two homes.
It's a rental property now, baby.
It's a rental property. I ain't dealing with that.
That hard.
We ain't dealing with that. We're gonna take that money. We're gonna put it in our ROA. We're gonna squirrel that stuff away for our retirement. Ain't worried about no other body's house. But that's the way it should be. And too many of our women too are setting up and moving like men, going out here trying to build an empire and then try to plug a dude into your empire. That's not how that works. It doesn't work that.
You gotta tell Jay-Z that because you got these stars that are promoting. It's all about building.
Well, they're on a different.
When we look at those people, we're looking at the success that they're having.
Jay-Z ain't got to worry about spending $120 filling up his gas tank. So
I'm not saying that. I'm saying they support each other.
Yeah, but they're on
a lot of other nationalities have.
They're in a different. Their existence is very different from ours. Very different from ours.
About together and building together.
I understand. And
a lot of other cultures have that on one reason why we don't come together and we don't build together. It's like there's all the pressure being put on.
I'm gonna say this last thing and then we're gonna wrap it up because it's been on for an hour and 30 minutes. But to your point, Miss Gilmore, a lot of us are of the assumption that white people have more than we do. They do not. According to the Census Bureau, the average white man earns about $50,000 a year. The average black man earns about $45,000. That's not a big difference. The average black woman earns $28,000. The average white woman earns $32,000. That's not a big difference. The only reason why it seems they have more is because they
come
do
together.
it together. We refuse to do anything together. We can't even have a freaking family reunion most of the time. We can't have a funeral without, yes, we don't do nothing together. We have become extremely selfish as a culture, you know what I mean? And it requires sacrifice and it requires togetherness, and there are not two heads of a house. So I need to let y'all know that too. I was, real quick, I was listening to this white lady at work the other night, and she has 5 kids. She's a white lady, and she has she's a nurse, and so her guy makes about 30 grand less than her, and I'm listening to her talk, you know, and so she was talking about how grateful she was to have him. How grateful she was, and she was like, "Cause I know," and she said, "If I know he made more money, he wouldn't pick me." So because one of the sisters up there was giving her a hard time about the fact that she worked overnight and was going to go home and fix this man a full breakfast who's sitting at home in the bed right now. And she says, "I'm grateful for this man." When was the last time you said, you know, our sister working just as hard as her man is, and she goes, "I'm grateful for him," and then says, "I got to get home in the morning after working 12 hours overnight because my man needs a full breakfast before I go to bed." Shh, come on. They got the game going with it for the most part. And not to say that our lives need to look like theirs, but it can't continue to look like it's looking now.
Yeah.
Okay?
Gotta make a change.
Yep. All right, ladies, thank you very much. I want you guys to hold back for just a second. I'm going to go ahead and end this this podcast for today. This was good. This was better than I expected, and I was a little bit thrown today. I was a little bit thrown because of the whole death of Kevin Samuels and the fact that this man, you know, when you bring up his name, it's either going to be I love him or I hate him, you know. So that kind of threw things through a window. My brother-in-law's on. What's up, George?
What's up?
Hey. There's my sister and my brother. They're always supportive. Glad they're supportive. All right, guys. I'm going to put you guys down in the weight room. Hold on a second. I'm going to go ahead and end this. And I'll be right back. All right. Oh, that was good. That was good. Just one more thing. For those who don't know who Kevin Samuels, please go check out his stuff. Regardless if you agree with him or disagree with him, the man sparked a conversation, especially amongst black men. He's made it cool for black men to speak, even if it's not liked. And yeah.
You know we getting grown up in here, right? 25 and up. Let me see your ID, baby. Yeah. Nobody move till we say so. It's that 3D radio with TJ Digger and Lady Flow. Real talk on 3D radio. Dress for success so it's never fail. Grow delivery, so call it Gmail. Stay logged on till it's time to bail. Adults only, so now it's set sail. Don't act like you ain't heard what I said. Go on, little mama, put the kids to bed. Live on the net, you know it don't stop. Time to get loose like you do the wild. Need some advice, you know who we be. Relationship University. So like Marvin on the Mercy Knees. And on the intro, you know it's Big D's. We came here to blow your mind. Caught up like the folks that's on the crime time. Clap your hands cause it feels so amazing. This another TJM creation. Nobody move till we say so. It's that 3D radio. The TJ Digger and Lady Flow. Real talk on 3D radio. Nobody move till we say so. It's that 3D radio. The TJ Digger and Lady